Do your knees hurt so much that every step feels like torture? That burning and creaking sensation that turns even the simple act of getting out of bed into a scary challenge. I completely understand what you're going through. Like Margaret, a 71-year-old retiree from Colorado Springs who could no longer kneel to play with her grandchildren on the floor. The arthrosis in her knees and hips had robbed her of these precious moments that were supposed to be filled with joy. She had tried everything: expensive creams, painful injections, even those magnetic bracelets that promise miracles but deliver no results. I felt betrayed by my own body, she told me, as if every morning I woke up a little less capable, a little less myself. After 25 years of helping people just like you overcome arthritis pain, I discovered something that completely changed the lives of Margaret and thousands of other patients. Today, I'm going to share with you the 5 foods that silently make your arthritis worse, but that no conventional doctor ever mentions. The most shocking? One of them is probably in your breakfast every day. And best of all, eliminating these foods doesn't require expensive surgeries, medications with dangerous side effects, or complicated exercises that only make your pain worse. If you've been suffering from osteoarthritis for months or even decades, the next few minutes can completely transform your life. Today, I want to reveal to you the 5 foods that are secretly inflaming your joints and accelerating the deterioration of your cartilage, especially if you've been consuming them regularly for more than 6 months. But before we begin, let me clarify something important. I'm not here to sell you any miracle supplements or expensive treatments. What I will share is information based on recent scientific research and my extensive clinical experience helping thousands of people with osteoarthritis. Before revealing these harmful foods, I would like to know: have you ever suspected that something in your diet could be making your joint pain worse? Type yes in the comments if you've ever had this suspicion. Type no if this information is completely new to you. And if the health of your joints is important to you or someone you love, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Forever Young Tips channel to receive honest, science-based advice, specially designed for mature adults who want to live pain-free. Let's start with the most surprising food of all, the one you probably consume every morning thinking you're doing something healthy: orange juice. That's right. That glass of orange juice you have for breakfast, believing it is strengthening your immune system, may be silently making your arthritis worse. Most doctors never mention it. But recent research shows that the high fructose content in fruit juices can significantly increase uric acid levels in the blood, which intensifies inflammation in the joints. I met Robert, a 68-year-old retired teacher from Miami, who had religiously sipping a big glass of orange juice every morning for more than 30 years. He believed he was doing something beneficial for his health, but his knee pain only got worse, even with all the conventional treatments he tried. What most people don't know is that when we consume fructose in large amounts, especially without the fiber present in the whole fruit, our liver processes that sugar in a way that increases uric acid production. This acid forms microscopic crystals that are deposited in the joints, causing chronic inflammation and accelerating cartilage degradation. The most alarming: most commercial orange juices contain a lot more sugar than you might think, sometimes even more than soda. And when this sugar combines with other inflammatory foods in your diet, it creates the perfect storm for the progression of osteoarthritis. The solution is not to give up vitamin C, which is vital for the health of your joints, but to get it from healthier sources. Instead of juice, try eating half a whole orange, which contains fiber that slows down sugar absorption. Or better yet, consume colorful vegetables like red and yellow bell peppers, which contain up to 3 times more vitamin C than oranges, without the inflammatory effect. After Robert replaced his morning juice with a sliced red bell pepper with hummus, he noticed a significant reduction in joint pain in just 2 weeks. Sometimes, small changes like this can make an extraordinary difference. I need to pause here for a moment and ask something important. When was the last time someone truly understood how osteoarthritis pain affects not only their body but their entire life? The way she steals those precious moments. The frustration of not being able to open a package, or the sadness of saying no to an outing with friends because your joints just couldn't take it that day. I know that for many of you this has been a silent struggle. People see you smiling despite the pain, but they don't see those mornings when you have to muster all your strength just to get out of bed. I want you to know that I see you. This community sees you, and your experience matters deeply. Right now, in the comments below, I'd like you to share which food you suspect makes your joint pain worse. You can simply copy and paste, "I suspect ubiadsilonaiskoltias makes my pain worse." Your comment may be just what someone else needs to read today to feel less alone in their struggle, because sometimes knowing that someone understands your specific pain is the first step to healing. So please take a moment now to share your experience below. I read all the comments as well as thousands of other people who are walking this same difficult path. The second food that silently aggravates your osteoarthritis may surprise you: whole wheat. Yes, that same whole grain bread you buy believing you are making a healthy choice. While whole wheat is better than refined wheat for many people, for arthritis sufferers, it can be a significant trigger for inflammation. That's because modern wheat contains much more gluten than wheat from decades ago, thanks to agricultural modifications aimed at increasing crop yields. I met Elaine, a 65-year-old retired nurse from Philadelphia, who ate whole grain bread sandwiches for lunch every day. Despite strictly following her exercise regimen and taking all the supplements recommended by her doctor, her pain in her hands and wrists remained intense. What Elaine didn't know is that many people with osteoarthritis have an undiagnosed gluten sensitivity, which is not celiac disease but still causes chronic inflammation in the body. The science behind it is fascinating. When people with this sensitivity consume gluten, their immune system reacts by producing inflammatory cytokines that circulate in the bloodstream and tend to accumulate in already fragile joints. Over time, this repeated inflammation accelerates the breakdown of cartilage and intensifies pain. The most worrying: you may be consuming a lot more gluten than you realize, since it's present in sauces, canned soups, and many processed foods where you least expect it. The good news is that there are delicious alternatives to wheat. Quinoa, wild rice, non-GMO corn, and gluten-free oats are excellent options that don't elicit the same inflammatory response. When Elaine replaced her daily whole grain bread with lettuce wraps or organic corn tortillas, she noticed a noticeable improvement in the mobility of her hands in just 21 days. Here's a question for you to think about. Have you ever noticed that your joint pain seems to get worse the next day after consuming certain types of bread or pasta? Share your experience in the comments below. If you are enjoying this information and want to know more about how your diet affects your arthritis, like this video. This helps to bring this information to more people who may be suffering in silence. The third food that quietly destroys your joints is one that most Americans consume several times a day: refined vegetable oils. I'm talking about soybean, corn, canola, and sunflower oil, which are present in virtually every processed food, from crackers to salad dressings, from frozen meals to snacks. These oils are rich in omega-6 fatty acids, which in excess promote inflammation in the body. I met Howard, a 73-year-old retired carpenter from Denver who loved to cook with canola oil and regularly consumed fried and processed foods. His joints were so sore that he could hardly hold his tools anymore. What Howard didn't know is that the typical American diet contains an alarming ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, about 15.1, when the ideal would be closer to 4.1. This imbalance creates a permanently inflammatory environment in the body. The mechanism is complex, but essentially when we consume too many omega-6s and too few omega-3s, our body produces more pro-inflammatory substances called prostaglandins and leukotrienes. These molecules amplify the inflammatory response, causing the synovial membrane that protects your joints to become chronically inflamed. Over time, this persistent inflammation not only causes pain, but also accelerates the breakdown of cartilage. The saddest thing is that many elderly people continue to use these oils daily, without ever making the connection with their growing joint pain. The solution is simple. Replace these refined oils with extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil for cooking. These healthy fats contain anti-inflammatory compounds that can help protect your joints. When Howard switched from his canola oil to olive oil and drastically reduced his consumption of processed foods, he noticed a significant improvement in the flexibility of his hands in just 1 month. He told me emotionally, "For the first time in years, I was able to hold my granddaughter in my arms without feeling that sharp pain in my wrists." Have you ever noticed how you sometimes wake up with stiffer joints after eating certain foods the day before? This could be a sign that your diet is secretly inflaming your body. If this information is being useful to you, don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who may be suffering unnecessarily. The fourth food that secretly destroys your joints is one that many consider an essential part of a healthy diet: dairy products, especially milk and processed cheeses. Although they are high in calcium, these foods can be problematic for people with osteoarthritis due to several factors. First, many commercial dairy products contain hormones and antibiotics that can disrupt the body's hormonal balance and promote inflammation. Second, milk protein, especially the A1 casein present in regular cow's milk, can trigger inflammatory responses in sensitive people. I met Martha, a 69-year-old retired piano teacher from Boston, who loved cheese and yogurt and consumed them daily to strengthen her bones. However, the arthrosis in her fingers was so advanced that she had to abandon piano lessons, her great pleasure in life. What Martha didn't know is that for many people, especially those over 60, dairy products can increase the production of inflammatory cytokines, molecules that signal the body to intensify the inflammatory response. The science behind it is eye-opening. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition showed that people with dairy sensitivities had elevated levels of C-reactive protein, a marker of inflammation, after consuming milk. More alarmingly, recent research suggests that the type of fat found in whole milk and cheeses may promote the production of arachidonic acid in the body, a direct precursor to inflammatory compounds. The most worrying? Many doctors still recommend the consumption of dairy products for patients with osteoarthritis, focusing only on calcium content without considering its inflammatory effects. The solution is not to eliminate calcium from the diet, but to get it from more joint-friendly sources such as dark green leafy vegetables, sardines with bones, chia seeds, and almonds. These sources provide calcium without the inflammatory potential of dairy. When Martha replaced her daily dairy with calcium-fortified plant-based alternatives and increased her consumption of green vegetables, the stiffness in her fingers decreased considerably. After 3 months, she was able to play the piano again for 30 minutes painlessly, a moment that made her cry with joy. Have you ever noticed that your joints feel more swollen or sore after consuming cheese or ice cream? Your personal experience can be an important clue as to how your body responds to dairy. Share in the comments below if you've noticed this connection. If this information is helping you, please show your support with a like. Each like helps to bring this message to more people who may be suffering unnecessarily. Finally, we come to the fifth food that silently aggravates your arthritis, and this is perhaps the most controversial of all: tomatoes and other nightshades. That's right, those delicious tomatoes in your salad, the eggplants in your favorite Italian dish, and the potatoes that accompany so many meals may be secretly intensifying your joint pain. These vegetables belong to the nightshade family, which contain compounds called alkaloids, particularly solanine, which can increase intestinal permeability and trigger inflammation in sensitive people. I met Gerald, a 70-year-old retired accountant from Chicago, who loved gardening but could barely get down on his knees to tend to his plants due to severe osteoarthritis in his knees. Interestingly, Gerald grew and consumed many tomatoes from his own garden, proud of his home garden. What he didn't know is that for approximately 20% of people with osteoarthritis, nightshades can be a significant trigger of joint pain. The science behind it involves the glycoalkaloids present in these plants, which nature has created as a defense mechanism against predators. In susceptible people, these compounds can penetrate the intestinal barrier and enter the bloodstream, where the immune system identifies them as invaders, triggering an inflammatory cascade that often affects joints already compromised by osteoarthritis. The most disconcerting. Many healthy foods recommended for people with osteoarthritis, such as tomato and bell pepper salads, may be making the condition worse rather than improving it. The good news is that sensitivity to nightshades varies greatly from person to person, and the only way to find out if they're affecting you is to eliminate these foods for at least 3 weeks and then gradually reintroduce them, keeping a close eye on any changes in your joint pain. When Gerald eliminated tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and white potatoes from his diet for a month, replacing them with non-solanaceous vegetables like carrots, zucchini, sweet potatoes, and broccoli, he noticed a surprising improvement in the mobility of his knees. For the first time in years, I was able to kneel down to plant my flowers without that searing pain, he told me with tears in his eyes. Is this experience common or rare? I would like to know, have you ever suspected that tomatoes or potatoes could be making your joint pain worse? Share your experience in the comments below. If you are finding value in this information, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Together we can help thousands of people live pain-free. Now that I've revealed the 5 foods that silently aggravate your arthritis, let's talk about a practical solution that you can implement right away. It's not just about eliminating food, but about adding nutrients that actively protect and repair your joints. The approach I recommend is based on what I call the ARC method, cartilage repair feeding. This simple method consists of 3 fundamental pillars. First, phase out the 5 inflammatory foods we discussed today. Second, increase the consumption of foods rich in natural anti-inflammatory compounds. And third, add specific nutrients that help repair and strengthen cartilage. Let's start with the anti-inflammatory pillar. Research shows that certain foods contain compounds that actively block inflammatory pathways in the body, similar to the action of anti-inflammatory medications, but without the side effects. The most potent include avocado, rich in healthy fats that lubricate joints and reduce inflammation. Cold water fish like salmon and sardines. They provide long-chain omega-3s, EPA and DHA, which directly reduce the production of enzymes that degrade cartilage. Fresh ginger. Contains gingerols that block inflammatory pathways in the body. Turmeric. Its active compound, curcumin, reduces inflammation and relieves pain. Blueberries and other berries, rich in anthocyanins that reduce oxidative damage to the joints. The second pillar focuses on foods that provide the building blocks needed to repair and strengthen cartilage. These include ossobuco and bone broths. They provide type 2 collagen, the main structural component of cartilage. Dark greens like kale and spinach, rich in vitamin K, which is essential for bone and cartilage health. Pumpkin seeds, excellent source of magnesium, often deficient in people with osteoarthritis. Egg white, contains glycosaminoglycans that make up the gel of articular cartilage. Carrots and sweet potatoes, rich in beta-carotene that protects cartilage cells from oxidative damage. The third pillar involves adequate consumption of water and anti-inflammatory teas. Hydration is crucial for joint health, as cartilage is made up of approximately 80% water. In addition, certain teas such as Devil's Claw and Sage have natural analgesic properties proven in clinical studies. Let me share the story of Dorothy, a 75-year-old retired social worker from Oregon. After suffering from osteoarthritis in her hips for more than a decade and being in line for joint replacement surgery, she implemented the ARC method for only 8 weeks. To her doctor's amazement, the joint space in her hips, which had shrunk dramatically due to cartilage degradation, began to show signs of recovery on X-rays. Her pain subsided so much that she was able to postpone the surgery indefinitely. "I had accepted that living in pain was my destiny in old age," Dorothy said. "I never imagined that simple changes in diet could make such a difference. For the first time in years, I was able to walk with my husband on the beach without having to stop every few minutes due to the pain." Dorothy's transformation is not an isolated case. I have documented hundreds of similar stories in my clinic where patients have achieved significant improvements just by implementing these dietary changes. The most impressive. Most notice a noticeable reduction in morning stiffness in just 2 weeks and a significant decrease in pain in approximately 1 month. To make this transition easier, I've created a 30-day gradual implementation plan that you can start right away. In the first week, focus on eliminating only the first inflammatory food, fruit juices, replacing them with lemon water or whole fruits. In the second week, start cutting back on wheat by opting for gluten-free alternatives. By week 3, replace refined vegetable oils with healthier options like olive oil and avocado oil. By the 4th week, cut back on dairy by finding alternative sources of calcium. And finally, in the 5th week, try eliminating the nightshades to see if you are sensitive to them. At the same time, increase your consumption of the anti-inflammatory and cartilage-repairing foods I mentioned. Remember, it is not about deprivation but about substitution. For every inflammatory food you eliminate, add a repairing food in its place. Living with osteoarthritis does not mean having to accept pain as a permanent companion. Through smart food choices, you can significantly reduce inflammation, protect your remaining cartilage, and in many cases promote joint tissue regeneration. Thousands of my patients have proven it, and so can you. Living with arthrosis is not just about managing pain, but about regaining joy in the small moments of everyday life. Those simple pleasures like holding the hand of someone you love, picking up a mug of coffee without feeling pain, or playing with your grandchildren. I know you've shown incredible courage just by seeking answers, and I want you to know that you're no longer alone on this journey. Here at Forever Young Tips, our community understands exactly what you're going through because we've been down that path too. Every week, I share simple and effective approaches that have helped thousands of people like you find relief without expensive medications or risky surgeries. If you would like to join our family of wellness, simply click on the sign up button below. By doing so, you'll get hands-on guidance straight to your inbox. Tips that work for real people with real arthritis pain. No false promises, no miracle cures, just honest and proven approaches that can help you wake up tomorrow feeling a little better than today. Because you deserve to live with less pain and more joy. Sign up now, and let's walk this journey together, one comfortable step at a time. And remember, if you know someone who suffers from joint pain, share this video with them. Sometimes the right information at the right time can make all the difference in a person's life. Until the next video, take care of yourself with affection and kindness. You deserve a pain-free life.